I'm Joe Tilley. This week's show, we're talking some golf. We're bringing in a couple of Canadian broadcasting legends, Rod Black and Humble Howard. We're going to preview the Masters. Joe Tilley Sports, coming up. Welcome to the program. We're going to have some fun today. We're talking some golf, and our guests are, well, he hosted 4 Olympics for CTV over a 36-year broadcasting career. He hosts Raptors, an NBA on TSN. He's a play-by-play voice for the CFL, a TSN golf announcer. He calls international hockey for TSN. He also calls curling, and of course, he is the voice of figure skating in Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, Rod Black. And co-host of the Humble and Fred show, which he started with his old pal Fred in 1989 on CFNY, moved to CKFM or Mix 99.9, then a Mojo 640, back to the Mix. Now host of the Humble and Fred sports show on Sirius XM and on podcasts. He's co-host of Swing Thoughts, the golf podcast with Tim O'Connor. Hell of a golfer too, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, Humble Howard Glassman. Welcome to the program, guys.
Yeah. There you are. Hello, boys. Hello, boys. Hell of a golfer. Hell of a golfer. Yeah. I've seen him play. I don't think I've ever played with him. I've seen him play, though, and he is a hell of a golfer.
Well, all I know is I saw those stats for Rod Black. I was waiting for mine, and it's like, Rod's done all these cool things, and now here's some schlepper from the radio. No. But I'm honored to be part of this round table.
Yeah, as I am. Well, you know how to put on there that I was also the national commentator for the Rock, Paper, Scissors Championship. So I just wanted to let you know.
Oh, I missed that.
Yes.
We haven't been that busy during COVID. It's been a very, very trying time. Ready, Howard? Let's go.
You got to do what you got to do.
Ready? Yeah. There you go. Oh, you killed me, man.
It's a tie.
Yeah, there you go. You killed me. All right.
Killed him. Okay, so we got the 85th edition of the Masters coming up. First major of 2021, but it was only 4.5 months ago that we had the last Masters. Dustin Johnson looking to become the first back-to-back champion since 2002. The last guy to do that was some guy named Tiger. Obviously, no Tiger this year, but reports vary on how he's doing and how he's going to do, and if he's ever going to play golf again. What have you guys heard? Anything at all about Humble?
I heard this morning that they have wrapped up or tied up the investigation. No charges were pressed, and they have kept some of the details quiet for privacy issues. Rod, I don't know if you heard the same. I'm not even sure what that means.
No, I would say that probably based on the investigation, they're not making an investigation, but clearly there was something untoward that happened that morning. Either Tiger fell asleep, he wasn't paying attention because there were no brake marks. Regardless of what happened, first of all, he could have also killed somebody that day, never mind himself. So frankly, He's very lucky to be alive. Moving forward, one thing I've known, and I think Howard would probably agree with me, is I would never, ever count this guy out. He's not like Ben Hogan, who was 36 when he had his accident. This guy's a little bit older, but he's also Tiger Woods, and he plays very well at majors. I think golf is secondary right now for him. But at the same time, I would not be surprised to somewhere see him, and maybe it's not next year, it might be the year after, playing golf again. If we don't, then I am going to make a bold prediction here that in the year 2038, Charlie Woods will win the Masters. Charlie.
There you go.
Charlie.
I like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I totally agree with that.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I said, I don't know if I totally agree with you. I do agree that there's been no one that's ever played that sport like Tiger Woods. I just don't think at his age, your point's a good one. If he had been 35 when this happened, for sure he's coming back. But at the age he's at now, I just don't see him getting to tour level shape and contending. And I know one thing, I'll finish by saying, I know one thing, guys. I don't think we're going to see Tiger Woods on the Champions Tour.
I know. No, but one thing, yeah. No, I just think he's too fueled by the competition of a major championship and being the best in the world. We all saw the documentary. I'm sure everybody has. And I was very lucky to be around that Tiger circle at the time. I was hosting a few of the events. I got to know Tiger Woods better than the average announcer. And I will tell you, I'm a big fan of the person, Tiger Woods. The mysterious side of Tiger that you saw, the guy with the tunnel vision and all of that, and sometimes that arrogance, which is there. He's also a very collegial guy. He's a guy who likes fart jokes. He's a guy's guy. He's one of the guys who would show up and you play golf. You play golf with him, he shows up at the tee and you go, oh my gosh, that's Tiger Woods. And I think you would honestly have a good time. I will tell you that. And that's not from the guy. I just was around him a little bit, and I got to know him. And I think it's a crazy. It's almost like that movie, The Truman Show. You know, the kid who was always on TV. Everybody's watching him, analyzing and psychoanalyzing him. I do think he wants to be a normal person, but he's Tiger Woods, and he's on the Mount Rushmore of sports. So, yeah, I know what you're saying, Howard. He's going to be old, but we've never seen anything like that in golf before. And, I remember a few years ago, I was at the Masters. Everybody said, oh, no, not a chance. He's never coming back again. The guy does have the means. Remember, he's got a lot of money. So, if he ever needs anything to help him in the rehabilitation process, he might get there. I agree he's never going to be the player he once was, which was ultra, uber dominant. But there's just something about the guy that he loves being out on tour. And by the way, here's another one. And sorry, I'm taking a lot of time. The other one about him is you really get a sense, and I got this from Ian Leggett and others who are around. And, it's the guys on tour who really miss Tiger Woods and how much they like him, because he is one of those guys. And, we all wish him well. I think the game's much better with Tiger Woods than it is without him. Yeah. I would like to see him back someday. I really would. We'll see. Fingers crossed.
How can you go ahead, Howard? Yeah.
No, I was just going to comment on. I'm a huge Tiger Woods fan, and I was telling the story this morning. My girlfriend, on the morning of the 2019 Masters, she said, "Are you going to be looking forward to watching Tiger?" I said, "Yeah." I don't think she understood how much I like Tiger until I said to her, "By the way, just so you know, if Tiger Woods wins today, I'm going to cry." and she was like, "What?" I said, "You have no idea." I said, "If I was a kid, I'd have Tiger Woods posters on the wall of our bedroom." Yeah. So I agree with what Rod said. There's never been anyone like Tiger. I just think very famously, like Jack Nicklaus, it was asked about the Champions Tour, the Senior Tour at the time. And Nicklaus' response was, "I've already beat these guys. Why do I have to do it all over again?" That being said,
and he doesn't need the money.
He doesn't need them, all that.
Right.
But I'll finish by saying what I do think will happen is his competitiveness will win out. And maybe Rod's right. I'd love to see it. I would love to see, more realistically, I'd like him to win an 83rd tournament, just so he can have that last record that will never be broken. Okay, Joe?
I love that, though. Hey,
all
Joe,
right.
Are you the host of this show? Take control.
Let's
No,
go.
listen. You guys are the guests. You guys are more important than I am. I'm glad to let you guys talk. By the way, who doesn't like a guy who likes a good fart joke, right? So
I was going to
let's talk about the
I've got 30 years, Humble and Fred. We've been famous for fart jokes. God damn it,
dude! Hey, everybody wants to go viral from some reason. We shouldn't be talking about going viral during a virus, but the only thing that we ever did in our NBA studio was the fact that Leo Routens let out a big one and absolutely bomb blasted us, and we couldn't speak. And I'm telling you, my nostril hairs burned so badly for days. And then he kept blaming it on me and blamed it on Sam. Sam Mitchell's going, "Oh, you got it in my hair." No. So, hey, guys,
Rod, I wish I would have
jokes are beautiful.
I wish I would have known that story today because we had Leo on our show this morning.
Oh, did you? And he didn't
Yeah.
fart? Oh, yeah.
No.
Who knows? It's on Zoom.
Guys,
who knows,
guys,
right?
I have been around
I'm sure he
the
did.
best. Okay, so before, and this is actually, so Tiger Woods, I've seen it. He can actually do this. You can point to Tiger and he can actually fart. That is an absolute truth.
Oh,
he
on.
can fart. I've seen it. But the other guy who's really good at it, fart on command, is, and I don't think he uses sound effects, David Faraday. Humble. Like, I used to work with David a lot. Same thing. Faraday was the guy who told me that Tiger, and I said, no. He goes, Rodgers, I'm telling you, he does it all the time. And Faraday goes, lets one go right in the booth. So forget it. And then 2 weeks later, I had that in my memory bank. And 2 weeks later, that was when Faraday was interviewing Tiger. And they both, you've seen that thing that went viral, and they couldn't stop chuckling because it was either Faraday or Tiger who let one rip, and they were live on the air, and they couldn't stop laughing. But I will tell you,
and nobody
Leo
claimed
Routins, nobody claimed it. Leo Routins, he can't do it on command, but nobody can let him rip like that guy lets it in studio. And I will tell you, he puts his foot up on the desk, and then he lets it out his pant leg. And it's just and I'm telling you, we have people now, of course, with COVID, we're 6 feet. We're actually about 60 feet. Our camera people can smell it from over there. They can smell it that far. He might be my best friend. He's an absolute martial fartist. I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
He's the Bruce Lee of ninja farting.
Masters champion of farting.
And people thought they're going to watch this show and not learn anything. Are you kidding me?
He gets the brown
okay, so let's
Did you hear that? That's funny.
Jacket.
He gets the brown jacket. That's the line.
The brown jacket.
Take that and run with it.
Yeah.
Do you have any
Leo,
questions
winner of the brown jacket. Okay, let's talk about some golf, shall we? Okay, so
yes.
But the first thing we're going to talk about, what does it take to win at Augusta? Now, here's some suggestions from a course member who's also teaching pro at Augusta. He says course experience is essential. Meticulous course management, distance control and approach shots, factoring in the elevation change, the slope of the course, topography, and the ability to play well on Sunday, of course. What would you say to that? What would you add to that, Humble? If anything.
That's interesting. I would say all of that, and I know I don't have the experience that Rod has around the golf course, but I've walked it, and as a golfer myself, I know, Rod, I know you've probably said this to 1,000 different ways about how television doesn't do the topography justice. And so I would add to that list, the guys that have won there can hit it left to right if you're a right-handed golfer, and they hit it high. But the technical part aside, I would say that to win at Augusta, you have to be able to be not freaked out by the fact that you're there playing on that golf course. Do you know what I mean? I think it's more about
Rod, what do you want
well, I was just going to finish by saying lots of guys.
Yes, sir.
I'll just say this: lots of guys can have good Thursdays and Fridays, but you notice that by Saturday, those people start to thin out. And by Sunday, the reason that it's famous for its last 9 holes, because it really is a golf tournament of attrition, meaning that whoever can handle the moment the best, which is why Nicklaus won 6, Tigers won 5, others have won 3 and 4, because they can handle the moment. And I would say more than anything else, technically, it's the guy that can handle the fact that he's in that milieu, if I may be pompous, that's the guy that wins.
Yeah, I would agree with all of that. And, a couple of little things I think stick out to me about the Masters in particular. And it's very rare that you see what happened with Dustin Johnson. And by the way, it's a completely different golf course this time around. I mean, people are going to say, DJ did this. This is not. That Augusta in November is not the Augusta they play in the spring. Trust me. It is hard. It is fast. It was soft back then. Even DJ was saying how much you could just fire at pins. You have to putt your ball, quite obviously. You have to be a really good putter. I'll never forget Mike Weir. I believe it was the night before he won the Masters, was actually putting on his linoleum in the house that he had. And normally Mike would have a barbecue and invite all the Canadian reporters over. I think it was Thursday or Friday, but we found out he was actually putting on his linoleum the night before. That's how fast the greens are. So you got to putt your ball. You got to calm your nerves. It's very unique in that, the scoreboards, they flip. And another thing that didn't happen back in November were the crowds. And the beauty of Augusta is the crowds and how you manage the roars. When you hear roars on the other side of the course, can you stay focused? Mm-hmm. The other thing that I do think happens at Augusta, which does not happen at every other major, is that leaderboard gets very jammed on Saturday. It starts to get jammed with big names. The biggest names in golf usually rise up. Yeah, you'll get some guys who'll come up all of a sudden, and they can make the name for themselves at Augusta as well. And I would even put Zach Johnson and Mike Weir. A lot of people may have not heard of Mike Weir, but they were able to manage around, but on very unique years. But generally, the cream rises, and you can't blow your brains up. You cannot have a disastrous hole. You have to manage the par fours and the par threes, and you have to kill the par fives. That's what the new MO with Air is. And that's why probably you think about a Mike Weir, who also had the best wedge on the PGA Tour. People talk about his putting and what he did at 18, but go back a few years. Augusta really hasn't changed a whole lot. They've lengthened it, yes, and it was soft at that time too. But if your wedge game, your iron play is on, you've got to get close to the stick, because here's the other thing. They don't allow green books there. I don't know if a lot of people know that. You don't get a green book when you go there. And that's only at Augusta. And you have to know those greens. And I think that's where it's playing. I'm not sure what Humble's picks are. I know last time we were on, we had the big picks, and I'm a big.
We're going to get to that, yeah.
Yeah, everybody wants to. I will tell you, I'm not going to tell you my picks. I didn't pick him this time just because I'm not sure that you can go around that course. And he's such a psychoanalytical guy and needs his book all the way. If you don't have that book, how are you going to manage? You have to have a great touch. But all the things that Howard says and more.
I just missed who you were talking about. I think I just missed who's not going to get their book this time. I know none of them are. But who are you saying that?
No.
But
because
who are you referring
Bryson
to?
DeChambeau.
Oh, okay.
DeChambeau. Fact, yeah. It's that fact that he's the guy. He's like a scientist, and I think I don't think he's a field golfer, and I do think field golfers. And again, I'm not a field golfer, and I love Bryson DeChambeau. By the way, will win a Masters. He will win a Masters. It takes time for you to get there, and you saw it back in November. And again, he was constipated. He was all this, but you also you've got to go around there a few times before you can win that championship. Very few first-time winners. Sorry, I kind of rambled.
Very well, famously, I wasn't Fuzzy in '79 the first. Yeah. I would just add to what you said about how you have to go around that golf course and how you have to work the ball, and how you have to putt. That's probably the thing that most amateurs, like a lot of people watching or listening, might think, "Oh, I've putted on fast greens," and I used to play at a golf course that had very fast greens. But I don't think we can relate. And correct me if I'm wrong, Rod and Joe. I don't think most amateurs have ever played. Despite what we say, oh, the greens at my course were running 12. No, they weren't.
No, they weren't.
Seriously. No, they weren't. And I will tell you this, if I may just pivot quickly to a little humble brag. About 3 years ago, I played in the Canadian Mid-Am at Royal Victoria in Victoria, on one of the most amazing golf courses.
Beautiful golf course. Track. Oh, my God.
But check this out. So Garrett Rank is there and all the big names, Fitzsimmons. And I don't know how I qualified, but whatever. My point is, it's 6,000 yards.
One hell of a golfer.
Yes. 6,000-yard golf course. I hit 12 greens in the first round and shot 87. And I'll tell you why, because I was not prepared for 3 putting and 4 putting every second green. I had never played on competition greens that were rolling that fast. And I'll be honest with you, it was intimidating because some of the holes are short. You hit, 4-iron, wedge, and then I'd make double bogey because I'd 4-putt. And I was doing that hole after hole. And like I said, I don't think and those greens were the fastest I'd ever played competition on, and they weren't as fast as what's going to happen next Thursday at Augusta.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the field. The favorite heading in is Dustin Johnson. He's the defending champ. He's listed at 8-1 today in the Vegas odds. Now, as you mentioned earlier, Rod, he was playing on a course that's going to be in November. That's going to be much different here in April, and not as soft, or much softer then than it's going to be now. But he's a guy who's won. He's won a couple of majors now. He's 36 years old. He's been around the block a couple of times. Do you think he's the guy? I mean, do you think he should be the favorite to win this?
Yeah, I think he is.
Rod, go ahead.
I think he's the best player on the planet. I do. I think he's been the best player on the planet the last 3 or 4 years. When he is on, he is on. He is a guy who has great feel for a guy who is a bomber. He has the complete package. He might. If you had a video game and you had to design a golfer, it's Dustin Johnson. It's Dustin Johnson. He is the guy. He's the perfect player in so many ways. What gets to Dustin occasionally is between the ears, as every player. But the fact that he won there and he did it so dominantly, like he just crushed everybody, I think it'll be a lot different this time. I don't think it's that kind of golf course, quite obviously. But yeah, I can't see him not being in the mix. He has been, I think I saw something, Howard, you're not going to believe this. Over the last 5 years, only 18 players have beaten him at Augusta. Mm-hmm. Over the last 5 years, 18 players have had better score. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's how dominant he is. And he's a beautiful player. I like the fact, I've seen Dustin Johnson now. I see a guy who used to kind of freak out a little bit on mistakes, doesn't do that anymore. And that's the beauty for me of a champion at Augusta. I have a very good feeling we could see a defending champion. And even despite the fact it's not the same Augusta, but it's the same Dustin Johnson. And that's if I'm the rest of the field, I am you know what? I'm pooping my pants.
I don't think I agree with you, and I will say I don't think the non-golf fan, the casual golf fan, understands how dominant Dustin Johnson has been. I was on a show earlier, and I was talking about him, and I said, he's quietly become the most dominant player that it's weirdly anonymous, because if you're not a golf fan, you might hear Dustin Johnson, you go, oh yeah, that guy, Gretzky's son-in-law. But inside the sport, Rod, you, me, Joe, I would be surprised. I'll say this: not only do I pick him, I'll be surprised if he's not in contention and with a chance to win on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. 23 wins, right?
Yeah. And the only thing I hear is the other thing that could happen over time before the Masters. The only thing that can stop him is an illness. Let's pray that none of these guys get contact traced or anything like that. or stairs. Yeah. These are the things that consummate. And that's a great point you make, Humble, about him. And I do think it has a lot to do with his personality, which he really is. He really is that vanilla kind of guy. He's that laid back kind of dude. I loved him at Augusta, though, when he showed that side. And men can cry, as you did when Tiger won, Howard. But
I could cry again if you want.
Yeah, men can cry. And Dustin Johnson, to me, that's the first time I've ever seen any kind of real personality from the guy. And it might be because he has this steely, machine-like, robotic stare down when he's on the golf course. But it goes to show you, deep down, there probably is a lot different person than many of us think. I know I've talked to Wayne Gretzky in the past. Sorry about the name drop there. I shouldn't name drop like that. Justin Bieber told me that this morning. Anyway, but Gretzky, I remember asking him about
it. You're Rod Black. Here's the thing: me and Joe, after this, are going to name drop you. We're going to be spending the rest of the
We're talking to Rod. Well, we're talking to Rod Black today.
hang on a second. Who's on the phone? Oh, I can't talk right now. I'm talking to Rod Black. Yeah, no one doesn't want to talk to you.
I want to come on Howard's show. But so the bottom line was, though, that the Gretzky, we're just saying how different of a guy he is as opposed to he's a completely different cat. And yeah, I know he's had some troubles in the past too. And that's another thing. He's gotten over all of that stuff. I don't know. Unless he misses his tee time, I just can't see him not winning another green jacket.
Joe, where would you like to go?
Other golfers rated by. Well, I'm thinking okay, so let's talk about Bryson D Chambeau, right? He's 9-1 second choice. He's won 8 times. He's a reigning U.S. Open champ. Of course, different type of golf course, different type of player. But Rod was talking about not having the book. Maybe that's being a factor. But this guy seems like he's pretty locked in. When he's locked in like that, it's hard to imagine, that he's almost unstoppable too, is he not?
Yeah. If I may take this first one, Rod, I would say I think Bryson, again, another guy, I know that guys like Rod and Jim Nantz, I'm putting Rod in the same category as Jim Nantz, so suck it. Guys like Nantz and Rod.
Hello, friends.
And broadcasters who do golf, obviously part of Rod's job is to create storylines that we can follow. Yeah. I personally, as a golf geek and nerd, I'm just sick of guys talking about how unusual it is and what a scientist, and shut up already. Not you, Rod, Jim Nantz. Here's the thing. Yeah. Bryson D Chambeau is an amazing golf player, and if he won on next week, again, surprising no one, because he's one of those guys that when he's on, and we all know, having played the game, those guys are no different than us. They're not on all the time, but when he's on, he could lap that field. I mean, he's got the kind of game and the kind of power that Tiger had when he burst on the scene in '97. He's that much longer than the longest guys. He's freaking those guys out. When you see Rory McIlroy, who hits at 336, trying to get longer because of Bryson D Chambeau, he's having a Tiger-like effect. My last thing is Bryson D Chambeau. The only thing I would say about him is his putting may not be conducive, that style, to those greens. That would be my only a bit of a caveat for him. That being said, boy, if he's got it going, he could win by a bunch. He's that good. Yeah.
And trust me when I say it before, he's going to win a match, and he could very well win this week. The reason I say I'm a big believer in scar tissue too, because of what happened. That's why I wouldn't pick Jordan Spieth, although I'm so glad that he's coming back. He could be an outsider. Yeah, but DeChambeau has not played well at Augusta. I mean, it's been well documented. He has not played well there, so he's still getting used to it. He may have to change his game. I agree with the putting. The difference, though, that will change, and there's one name, and he reminds me a lot of him, definitely not in personality or anything like, is Bubba Watson. Bubba Watson won 2 green jackets, and how did Bubba Watson win the Masters? He hit it so far, and he gouged everything out with pitching wedges. He could hit it. Mm-hmm. Thing is, you can hit it into the tree. You can hit it into the rough in Augusta. It's not like U.S. Open rough or British Open or British Open rough. It is rough that you gouge. That's what Bubba Watson did. He won on his drive, which was like he was the Bryson DeChambeau of his. It's hard to believe we're saying that, but DeChambeau's hitting it in places. He's hitting it in places that nobody has ever been before. DeChambeau is going to hit it in places nobody. On 13, I couldn't even imagine. Howard, when it's long and hard. 15.
But Ron, if I may interject,
hit a wedge into 15.
Okay, let me interject by saying, remember in '97, Tiger hit driver wedge to 15. He hit driver short iron to 13. I mean, the only par 5 there that he had a longish iron into was 2. So it's no different. DeChambeau, Watson, Dustin Johnson, they're hitting it now Tiger long for that golf course. But that being said, Bryson's got he's got a little bit more than those average guys. And so he'll hit driver wedge into 15 some days if it's downwind.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing is, the wedges, it's what kind of wedges is, I mean, again, he could be hitting gap wedges in there. But again, here's the difference with Bryson DeChambeau. What's his weakest part? Probably, if he had one little weakness, it might be his wedges, right? He's real had an issue curtailing his wedge because it's unlike the wedges we hit. And then again, I'm not going to get into the
it's
Nance.
like this is 6-iron.
Yeah, but
right.
If he can feel his way around there, I do think for a DeChambeau this week, or at the Masters, for him he's going to have to get off to a start, and he can't do what he did last year. I don't think he's a great come from behind player. He's like Tiger. He is one of those guys who's a front runner. And when he's a front runner, he can run away and hide. So yeah, I would never. There's a reason the odds makers have him, a second behind Dustin.
All right.
So then next we got Justin Thomas, who's been on a bit of a roll lately. A couple of weeks ago, he won the Players Championship. He's third choice at 11-1, as is John Rahm. Now, Rahm, the thing about Rahm is that his wife is pregnant, due to have a child any day now. And Rahm has said that, he doesn't care if he's leading on Sunday. If his wife goes into labor, he's going to be there. So that could be a factor. But, Rahm is a guy who's, he had a couple wins last year, but at the Masters, he's done pretty well. I think he was 7th last year, or in November at Augusta, and I think he's been in the top 10 like 3 of the last 4 years, something like that. So he's a guy to consider. And, of course, Thomas is just rolling right now. So what do you think of those two?
I like John.
Yeah.
Do you want me to go?
Go ahead, Howard.
Yeah, you go.
Yeah.
I like both of those guys. I think both of them, to echo what Rod was saying about Bryson D Chambeau, I think both of those guys could win a Masters, probably will win a Masters. John Rahm. I like Justin Thomas very, very much. I think he's in the sweet spot of his career. He's not a kid anymore, but still a young kid. Hits it as a ton. I think you could either one of those guys. I would give the edge right now to Justin Thomas over John Rahm, mainly because of what you said, the distraction of having your first kid and, not likely to have his full focus, which, as you both know, at that level, they can all hit it. Yeah, some guys can hit it special, but it's really who can bring the focus that week. And if you're having a kid, maybe that is enough of a distraction. I don't know. What do you think, Ron?
Yeah, that would be very interesting if he's on the 14th tee and he's leading the Masters and he gets a phone call when he leaves. I like to see what Nance says then. One for the ages.
And a win for the baby.
And the winner of
they've delivered.
We got a brown jacket coming here.
Yeah, well, easy now.
That's right. The green placenta.
Oh, and there he is. Here's the ceremonial cutting of the umbilical cord. There it is. Nice.
Right. Now we'll go to Captain.
I don't know where we've gone here. We have absolutely gone off of PG. I think we're up next. I like both of them. I think their games speak for themselves. JT is. I'm a big horse race guy. And I think that happens in boxing too, is that when you're in form and you're trending, Justin Thomas might be in the best form of anybody coming into the Masters. And he showed that at the Players. Right. Man, he played lights out. Mm-hmm. He's had a tough year, obviously, with what was said off mic at that time. And I think that really hurt him for a few weeks. Mm-hmm. Because he's also an announcer. Think about that, man. All of a sudden, imagine what's going to happen after this.
Too. I really.
Yeah. Oh, he's amazing. Imagine what's going to happen to us after this broadcast.
Well, you're going to have a job.
but the other thing is, losing as his grandfather, right? All the emotions. And I said earlier about Dustin Johnson being the video game golfer, the new Tiger, the guy who is the perfect, you don't even have to, I think for the video game makers, they put a bunch of pieces together, players and all their strengths, and they make the perfect golfer. They have Dustin Johnson. I'd say 1A is Justin Thomas. It could be a Justin coming down Amen Corner on Sunday. I would not be surprised a bit.
Okay, so another person to consider her. I mean, at 14-1, the next we got tied. We've got Rory and Jordan Spieth. But Jordan Spieth now, he's had a couple of rough years, but lately he's starting to come around. And apparently, I heard this that he had a problem with his hand. He's been battling a hand injury the whole time. He had a bone chip or something like that in his hand. He's had that problem rectified, and it shows. He's been playing some good golf. And remember, he's a guy who's won 3 majors. He's no slouch. And if he starts to get his game together, he has to be somebody you at least consider.
Well, I mean, from a television standpoint, the ratings for those tournaments midwinter there, where he was in contention, the numbers were much better. I think all of us I'm a Jordan Spieth fan. I like the kid. I've never liked his grip, and it's funny that wrist injury became known after the fact, because as a guy that's, again, a golf geek, I noticed his grip getting weaker and weaker. It was already fairly weak as a tour player, but I guess he weakened it to make way for his wrist injury. Anyway, that's all behind him now, because I'll tell you, one thing about Jordan Spieth is he and Justin Thomas have been lifelong friends. And just like kids that competed against each other in kart before they got to F1, Jordan and Justin Thomas have been rivals forever. And Jordan is Justin Thomas good when he's in form. And as we're doing this show today, I just heard on the way in on Sirius XM that, Jordan's already like 4 under. He's leading the tournament. Jordan Spieth I tell you what, that would be an emotional win for a lot of people, because we all like him and would like to see him do well. The other guy you mentioned, I've already forgotten because I'm 61. Who was that you mentioned?
Rory. We're talking about Rory being 14-1. Yeah, along with Jordan.
I'll tell you what, here's the problem with Rory, and I'll give it over to Rod after this. The problem with Rory is he's not in form, and he wants to win that tournament too much. It's the last one he needs for the career Grand Slam, and it's a lot of pressure. And I just don't think that, combined with the fact he's not playing great, I don't see Rory doing that. Rod?
Yeah.
Rod?
It's funny about Jordan. I'm a big Jordan Spieth fan, but I said earlier, scar tissue is huge at Augusta, and that 12th hole will live forever. I would like to see what it would be like. And maybe, let's say he's in contention, gets to 12 on Sunday, tied, 1 shot up, 1 shot down, whatever it might be. The beauty this year might be because there isn't such a big crowd, he might not feel the pressure. You can't tell me that that T-ball, that par 3 is going. I know they're pros, I know the best, but you got that you have major flashbacks. Jordan Spieth was fitted. He had his second green jacket ready to be won. And he hasn't been the same player, wrist injury, no wrist injury, since that time. He hasn't been the same player. I love seeing and I'm sure, I don't know if this is what's happened with, I'm sure he's had a psych coach or a mental coach to help him through this.
Yeah.
The only thing about Jordan, and like you, Howard, I've loved these stories of him the last few weeks, and I root for him. I root for him so much. And I think it's really been like the last four months that we've seen, Jordan Spieth creeping up. And again, the great narratives that you have every week, storyline, and in contention. But what's happened on Sunday? He's shriveled. And until he wins, and maybe it could happen at Valero, I think if he's going to win the Masters again, he's going to need a win on tour again. I just can't see him coming and winning a championship after having so much failure in final rounds over the last 2 or 3 months. And when I say failure, he shot himself out. It wasn't like anybody else. He was there. So I think that's a problem. And same thing, I agree with you completely about Rory. I think with Rory, and he's okay. So Dustin Johnson 1A, and probably 1B might be Rory McIlroy. Again, beautiful. But he gets in front of him. So he gets what's the old nickname? He's a parcel. He's all wrapped up in himself. He gets in his own way so often. Sometimes he tries to be Mr. Loosey Goosey and relax, and the ball goes straight. He hits some stray shots at times. Yeah. Could he win though?
I don't. Rod, I've never liked it. I'm sorry. I was going to say I've never liked Rory's wedge game. I haven't had the opportunities you have, but I have walked around. Our old friend Keith Pelly arranged for me to go hang out at the Scottish Open a few years ago, And I had access, so I was walking along with Jeff Shackelford, and we were following Rory, Stenson, and Ricky Fowler. And I got to tell you, the places that Rory hit it, where he had 60 and 70-yard wedges in, and a couple times missed the green. Like, he's just got a weird little hitch or whatever it is. And so I would just say, knowing what I think about his wedge game, I don't think it's good enough for Augusta.
Yeah.
Well, he has been in the top 10.
What a great story it would be. What a great story it would be if he did.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he gets a career slam, and he's been in the top 10 in 6 of his last 7 trips to Augusta. So he's been, on the brink. He's been close, but it would be another one of those wins that would probably make humble cry.
Rod makes a great point about Rory, though. You never know, which one you're going to get, and if you get the good Rory, he could easily win it. But the reason he hasn't won it with all those top 10s is he's backed into a couple of those. His Sundays are kind of iffy,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, let's there's just 2 more golfers I'm going to talk about. This will round up the top, 10 or whatever. Xander Scheifele and Brooks Koepka both at 20-1. Now, Koepka on March 16th had surgery on his right knee. Last year he had surgery on his left knee, came back a little too soon. That didn't work out too well. I'm surprised that he's even at 20-1. To be honest with you, he might not even play, actually, from what I understand. He's working really hard. He's trying like crazy in rehab, but he might not play. And Xander Scheifele, I know, no, he's got a shot, I think. But Brooks Koepka, any thoughts on that?
Well, Xander Scheifele plays really well at Augusta. He's one of those guys early rounds. You're looking at the leaderboard, you go, oh, there's Xander Scheifele. And he is a guy. I'm actually a little surprised that he's listed at 20. I would put better odds on Xander Scheifele. I think he's a guy who can compete with the best, and even on a Sunday. Now, has he? Obviously not. But he is a good player. I know when you make your picks, I can't remember. I think it was we were doing U.S. Open or something. Remember when I was with Howard and you last time, we were making picks for that. Xander Scheifele, you put him in your pool every week. He's that good. Again, good enough to win the jacket. You have to be such a good shot maker too. Brooks Koepka is interesting. I think the injuries really do make a difference, but he's a football player in a golfer's body, right? And he is a bit of. I think he intimidates players, especially if it's in a match play situation. And trust me, they get into match play situations there. But I just don't see him at this time. Could be wrong on that, but he seems to be one of those guys that plays. Brooks Koepka, Patrick Reed, those are the guys. They don't care about any other tournament. They don't care about anything else. They care about the majors. I kind of like that. If I was running the Canadian Open or the Valero Open, I might not be too happy if they bow out, they miss the cut, but they're playing for majors. So despite everything else, there's something about Koepka. He gets around that winner's circle a lot. You never know.
Okay, well let's have a look at the picks now.
Xander.
Go ahead. Go
ahead. I'm sorry. I have nothing to add except.
No, I
got nothing. I got nothing.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Here's what we're looking at for the picks, guys. We're going to throw them up there. Vic, can you do that? Okay. So my picks: Justin Thomas, John Rahm, Colin Morikawa. I decided not to go with DJ. I don't know that. I just got a feeling about that. My long shot is Mackenzie Hughes, who would be really nice coming in at 250-1. I just like Mac. I just like the way he's been playing lately. And then the other Canadian, Corey Connors, is been playing well too. So that's another thing to think about. And my longer shot is Jason Kokrak. And the reason I like Jason is because his putting has improved enormously. Like, he's gone from in the hundreds to 8th in terms of putting. He's improved steadily. He got himself a longer putter. He was using a 35-inch putter, and for a guy who's 6'4", it was just too short. Now he's got a 36-inch putter, and you know what? He's not going to. So there's my longest shot. Okay, Rod, tell us about your picks.
Well, okay, I'll tell you my thinking. It's very easy. Yeah. Dustin Johnson's very easy. Justin Thomas very easy. And I thought, if I just said Corey Connors and he won, man, I look like a freaking Albert Einstein.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys, I will tell you, here's an interesting little fact. I did an interview with, I love Corey Connors. What a great person. Yeah. And I do think the smoothest swing on the PGA Tour, it's ridiculous. It's got such great tempo. I love him so much. So this was before COVID, pre-COVID. They had I think it was Golf Digest. I might be wrong on the magazine. They had a simulation, a computer simulation of who would win the Masters. You know who it was? Corey Connors. And
really,
yeah, I think he's got the game for it, and I do think he's in form. Again, you got to kind of win, but there's something about him. There's some magic about Corey. I mean, long shot, Rory McIlroy. I had clearly that's not a long shot, but I think goes back to what we said earlier. And my longer shot is Lee Westwood, because besides Justin Thomas, even though he hasn't won, Lee Westwood might come in with the best form for 3 rounds.
Yeah,
Lee Westwood is playing the best golf I think of his career.
Yeah.
And wouldn't that be a great story for him at his age to get his first major, to win that? And I love his wife. I love his wife.
Yeah,
I have a man crush. Maybe it's his girlfriend, but whatever it might be, wife and girlfriend. Some of us have both.
Well, you're Rod Black. He's Rod Black.
I didn't say that, but no. But
how dare you?
Wouldn't that be good if Westy? So my longer shots are all Irish, and if it's not Paul Casey, maybe throw Paul Casey in there too. What the heck? I'm Irish.
Joe.
Okay.
This is how you know you're dealing with a different level than us. He calls him Westy because he's probably been to a house and Westy. Oh, Mr. Black is here for Westy. Oh, Rod. You're so popular. You sicken me.
I'm not seeing anybody. I'm not talking to anybody, but it's Rod Black. Oh, I'll talk to Rod.
Oh, okay. I see. I'll tell you mine. I forgot that I put John Rahm in there, but I obviously Dustin Thomas, Dustin Johnson, Xander. I don't even know if Xander's a long shot. I just threw Phil in there because you never know. It could be. It's a really long shot, but
courses for horses. He plays great there.
Yeah,
right.
He plays great there. I'm not a huge Phil fan, but I've come around a little bit. The last few years, because I think, the guy's had a long career and he's hung in there and he's a decent guy. But I also think that he's got an otherworldly short game, which of course he's developed because he hasn't hit fairway in 20 years. But back to what I said earlier about those greens, man, you've got to be able to pitch and chip and in a certain style of pitching that he does very well. The ability to
Sorry, that's me.
Of course.
Okay.
I was about to make a profound point, Joe.
Hey, Howard, my dog loved your point. Actually, I think it's a FedEx. I think you just destroyed him.
That's awesome. I just want to finish by saying not everyone can hit that shot that Mickelson is the best at. And he's talking to me, by the way.
You know what? Absolutely right about that. How come every time I come on the Joe Tilley show, something bizarre? Next time it's going to be a streaker.
There's always something going on.
Yeah. But I tell you what, I don't know if he can hang in for the 4 rounds. I'll make a bet that Phil Mickelson not only makes the cut, Phil Mickelson is in the top. I'm going to even say the top 10 on Saturday. That's not a large bet. Phil, he does that.
I think he's 90 to 1.
Couples at Augusta. He's 90 to 1.
Right. Yeah. Well, listen. I'm sorry. Yeah, he's 90 to 1. Right.
I bet you.
I think Rod's right. It's going to surprise no one if Phil has a good tournament because, he's got enough experience. I don't know. Rod's got a point. I don't know if he can hang in for 4 days, but he might. He could back into a top 10 somehow. But it'll be. I just think with Phil there on Sunday, it'll be exciting, and there'll be all this sentimental, BS that they love on CBS, and it'll be great.
Will you cry?
No. Jordan Spieth.
Okay,
who's my top 2 that would make me cry?
How come we should have those? That should be our pool. Top cry inducers.
All right, for me it would be Jordan Spieth. I'd get emotional, and I think if one of the Canadians, if Corey or Mac would win, I think that would be great. Because I'll tell you what, when we're one,
1,000 to 1.
Yeah, but when we won in 2003,
we'd all be crying.
My eyes out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, when he won in 2003, I was crying.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget that.
That was such
we were there.
One of my favorite tournament moments ever. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
listen, guys, that's
I want to thank
my
you guys. My dog agrees with you.
This is a lot of fun. And you know what? It was nice to have your dog on the show, too.
Thank you. You know who else can make you cry? What? The last time I cried watching the Masters, I actually did cry last November. Let's see if you guys, you'll know the story. Last November, it wasn't Dustin Johnson, we all knew, but do you remember who had an incredible Masters? Bernard Langer.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was cool.
And that was really cool. I was like, man, it goes, and don't discount that age thing at the Masters. I mean, here, this guy's like 105, and he's like,
you got to be right on. I mean, you better have a good iron game, because he's driving the ball 50 yards behind everybody. So it's
yeah.
But if a guy like that wins, like if Phil wins, if anybody like that, that'll be fantastic. But honestly, if Mike Weir were to win, which is and you know what, he's got two second place finishes on the Champions Tour this year. All of it is just I want to put the realm of possibility out there. I mean, just for, because that would be such an incredible thing if that happened. It's yeah. Logic says no. Right? Logic says no.
No, of course not. Well, listen, do we have to go to Rod's house now and just hang out there in the sports room and just
I need a studio.
I think so. Yeah.
With my dog.
Hey,
Rod, listen, guys.
What's up?
Hang on with the dog.
Joe, excuse us for a second, okay?
Yeah.
Please.
What's up?
Hey, Rod.
Go ahead.
Rod, would you come on? Rod, I don't know what your schedule is in the next couple of weeks, but I'd love to have you on the Humble and Fred show. But I'd really love to have you.
I would love to be on
my golf podcast as well, because then we can really geek out and have a nice conversation.
I'd love to.
Okay. Well, I'll send you a note.
And here's the other thing.
Thank you, man.
More than anything, Joe, you and I, and Humble, let's get out and play some golf, and he can give us a few lessons.
Well, here's the deal is we're gonna look at this. I'll come up with the point system. If you pick the winner, you get 5 points. If you pick the second place finisher, you get 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Well, and whoever wins it, all right, they're gonna have the other two guys out to the home course. What's the home course, Rod?
I'd be happy to do it.
Emerald Hills. I love my Emerald
Hills.
Glencairn. Okay.
I love that place.
And wind dance for me. So. Wind dance for me, so we'll come out to whoever wins. We'll host the home course, and the other guys will buy dinner. Okay, sound good?
You know what? Just because I'm so humble, I'll let you guys park in one of my spots.
Hey!
Club champion.
I know you gotta go.
Club champion.
I know you gotta go. Howard, you're gonna love this. I never really had a club for a long time. I was kind of just playing all over the place. This is a few years ago. This is classic. So you remember Gretzky had his big tournament, that thing up north, and so I was lucky enough to get invited. So I was partnered with Damon Allen, and unfortunately for these tournaments, you have to have a home club, and I wasn't part of the Club Link family at the time, and I love my club at Emerald Hills. I didn't have a membership. I was playing all over, and I had to have a handicap, and I don't keep a handicap. I barely make my round, so I don't know what to put down. So anyway, I get a club. I find a club, put it down. So we go to the first tee, and they're announcing it. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the all-time pro passer in CFL history out of the Mississauga Golf and Country Club, Damon Allen. Polite applause, Damon. We had people were watching. I think it was friends and family. And they go, and now from TSN and CTV, broadcaster out of the Timber Creek Golf Club, Rod Black. Okay, same thing. So I don't know if you know this. So Timber Creek Golf Club I live up in the Stouffville area. It's a little mini putt.
That's funny.
So I was thinking Timber Ridge out near Belleville.
Timber Creek. And so
Timber Creek,
Damon's coming up the first tee, and he goes, Timber Creek Golf Club. I think I've played there. I said, you probably have.
Vic says,
I said, yeah, that fifth hole. I said, did you play? Remember the fifth hole? I said, the fifth hole is just a bitch. Yeah, I think so. I said, yeah, it's got that swinging log that's right there.
And the windmill.
So The funny thing is I knew the owners of the place, and I think I gave the T-sheet that said Timber Creek Golf Club. So, hey, if I do win, we're going to play at my course and Timber Creek.
Okay, we'll get 2 runs in. All right, listen, guys.
All the
Thanks so
best
much
to you
for
guys.
being on
Stay
the show.
safe
That
and
was
well. Thanks,
a
Joe.
slice. And we'll see. Well, maybe the winner,
thanks
by
for
the
you
way, the
guys.
winner gets the brown jacket. Okay, the winner gets the brown jacket.
Exactly.
And of course, as guests on the Joe Tilley Sports, we got a foursome from Clublink for you. I know you'll put that to good use. Remember, we're all in it together. And when we return, we got some more sports, including some harness racing news. We'll see you in a bit.
Promotional consideration provided by Clublink. Clublink. One membership, more golf.
Do you know why that happened? You didn't fix your ball mark. The birds around here are very protective of the course, and when people don't take care of it, this is what happens. It's pretty simple. Just find your mark, fix it, and at least one other. Hey, look at the bright side. We're not up on the northern course. They've got bears and moose.
Addiction Rehab Toronto, Toronto's #1 alcohol and drug treatment center, saving lives, reuniting families. The only treatment center in the province to offer medical detox, treatment, sober living, and lifetime aftercare all in one place. Our unique and specialized programs are designed to equip our clients with the tools to successfully lead a life of dignity, respect, and purpose. Let us help save your life or your loved one's life. Call today for more information or to facilitate an intervention. 1-855-787-2424 or visit addictionrehabtoronto.ca. Joe Tilley Sports is brought to you by COSA, Central Ontario Standardbred Association, providing a united voice for harness horse people racing at Ontario tracks. Check out your benefits today at COSAonline.com and check out COSA TV on Facebook and YouTube for all the latest harness news and live action updates. Live racing year-round. Go to HPIBet.com for all your wagering options. Become a member today and your first bet is free. That's HPIBet.com. Weekly Joe Tilley Sports Contest is heating up. We're giving away 12 of these awesome Mitch Marner t-shirts and 3 collector prints from talented artist Rob McDougall. To enter, simply subscribe to Joe Tilley on YouTube. 1 t-shirt or print will be handed out each week. We'll notify the winners as well as call their names out on the show. Good luck to you all. Right, Leo?
Okay, now it's time for my Costa Swiss pick of the week, and my winning streak is over, folks. I went with Titanic Kate, the number 5 horse in last week's 8th race at Mohawk. Well, she didn't have a great trip. She was boxed in along the rail, but she probably wasn't going to catch the 5-2 second choice. I Glaram, driven by James McDonald. Titanic Kate faded to 8th. Oh boy, should do better this week. My record on the year, by the way, is now 4 wins, 2 seconds, a third, a fourth, and an 8th. This week, I'm looking at the Thursday night's 9th race at Mohawk, and how can I not take the number 1 horse, Dr. Joe? After a couple breaks early in the season, the son of Bettor's Delight appears to be rounding into form, coming off a solid outing and a top post. I like his chances on the rail now with Trevor Henry in the buggy. And a reminder to visit Costa TV on Facebook for all the latest harness news. Go to hpibet.com for all your wagering options. And, one of the industries, and many industries that have been just hammered by the pandemic is harness racing. Ontario tracks are going to be shut down once again starting this weekend. And joining me now is Mike Tanev, owner of MT Stables. Mike, tell us about the effects that the pandemic is having on the industry right now from an owner standpoint.
Thanks for having me, Joe. It seems like deja vu is all over again. We just probably talked about, less than 3 months ago. I guess going forward now, the news that we got, late last night, actually, was my son that told me that racing, was going to be shut down again. Obviously, I was looking for a high bridge with a short rope. to me, it's just going to have a huge devastating effect. We went through this the last time, and it was funny because as soon as we got word that we were going to get back to racing again, I called Bill O'Donnell up, who's obviously the president of COSA, and I said, Bill, okay, you've got to get everybody in charge of whoever it is, whether it be, WEG, Jim Lawson, whoever's involved, to getting a hold of the government and either change the legislation, which is probably going to be difficult to do, or sort of an injunction that's going to allow horse racing to become a professional sport, which in actual fact it is. The last time you and I were talking about this, we went through the NHL with my kids, and the NHL has certain protocols that they met with all the different health ministers of all the provinces, that they all agreed to, and the NHL seems to be going on. And hey, listen, they're getting COVID and canceling games. Racetrack right now hasn't had any cases of COVID. So I just kind of think that, in my own opinion, and I don't think I'm alone in this, that somebody's dropped the ball here, and unfortunately, owners, trainers are going to suffer. But like I said last time we spoke, the horses are ultimately, without horses there's no horse racing. So, like, if owners aren't going to have money and trainers, it's a long list of things that I think could have been, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but it certainly could have been prevented. I believe so anyways, if somebody had worked harder.
Well, you mentioned, like, it's 10 or 11 races a night, close to 100 races a night. You guys are racing, 5 times a week, and no cases of COVID at all. Then you've got the NHL, where you got 22 players who travel together with trainers and coaches, coaching staff, etc. And they play another team and they play together. They're allowed to continue to play, and you're not. They've had a few cases, you've had 0. It doesn't really seem fair from that standpoint.
I mean, yeah, I certainly agree with the fairness, but I think that it gets back to where we have to, as an association, or whatever you want to call it, sport, needed to go and get somebody, to certainly act on our behalf. WEG's in charge of basically the whole province in terms of racing. And, quite frankly, I think that with the clout that they should have in the province, with all the tax dollars are coming in, I don't really understand why they didn't want, to use the same model that the in actual fact, NHL, NBA, and Major League Baseball were approved as professional sports. But the reason that the NBA and Major League Baseball aren't playing is because the border's closed. So somebody's done something, and I think somebody should have just followed that model.
Well, because everybody's here already, everybody's racing already, everybody's in place. There are no cases being transferred. It's a very socially distanced business. There's no fans in the stands. To me, to continue this, to continue on the way you guys were going, makes the most sense, and to have that stop doesn't make sense at all. I understand, though, that you guys are being allowed to continue to train horses.
Yeah, well, this is the bone of contention that I have. If you're allowed to train, and let's say I have, okay, one of my trainers is Carmen Osiello. He has a farm. The other one's Mike Vanderkamp. The other one's Hank Lilly. They have horses at their farms. Anybody is allowed to drive onto those facilities and go in there. We don't even know who the person could be. Like when you get to Mohawk, they have a strict protocol there. And you get the Flamborough, they get the Western Fair, the same thing. You walk in, they do all the health check with you. I think it's actually safer at the racetrack than it is at the farms where the horses are being trained. And I don't think that message is being conveyed enough to the, to the health people in Ontario, because I can only speak about Ontario. I can't speak about anything else. And I kind of think that these people are totally unaware of what the solution is, because I'll guarantee you dollars to donuts that, if you take one of these doctors to the racetrack, they couldn't tell you the difference between a thoroughbred and a standardbred, because they just don't know. And this is where the message needed to get out. And listen, I guess I'm the lucky one with the big mouth. That's kind of doing it on behalf of all of us owners. it's going to be a real bad thing, Joe. And training to be allowed, yeah, that's fabulous. But with training, you also have bills, and bills need to be paid.
It can have devastating consequences on the industry. There's people that can no longer afford to keep their horses if this were to continue. So I understand why that would be a problem. Your boys both playing the NHL, Brandon and Chris, and how are they doing?
Yeah, all good. I mean,
They
as I
having any
said,
problems?
listen, I mean, well, yeah, they got a couple of medical issues, but I mean, what wouldn't be more exciting? You get up in the morning, you're going to go to the arena and you're going to play in the NHL. I mean, God, I mean, there's 750 people in the world playing the NHL, and there's who knows how many actually playing around the world. So I guess that's pretty good, right? So.
Right. And you've had a decent season too. Your Ivana Flyby was my pick of the week a couple of weeks ago, and she came through
Oh,
as
good,
second choice. It
good.
was nice win for. Yeah, yeah. There's some
Yeah,
video now.
she's you know
Yeah.
what she's a real nice horse. I mean, like most of my horses come from New Zealand. I just like the breed. I like the way that they race here, and I think when they come into Canada or the U.S., they seem to like our racing a little bit better because it's strictly a mile. But as I said, you can win all the money last month, but going forward, we got a whole month of bills that we're gonna have to pay, and without racing, it's just I just don't know what's going to happen to a lot of people. There's a lot of people that I know that are actually, believe it or not, are going to get out of the horse business because they're not sure of the uncertainty of what's going to happen with this government, and not only the government but WEG controlled racetrack, because they just said they can't have horses in training for 2 months and then all of a sudden they're banned, they're out, and they're not making any money.
How long do you suspect that this is going to last? Any idea? Have you been told? And does anybody know anything and what the plans are?
Well, I'd like to say it's going to last one day, because I think that if someone got in front of somebody and actually got in front of somebody and explained the situation, I think it could be rectified pretty quickly. It's funny. Like, I actually got called out without being called out on. Once we got back. Um, and I really didn't appreciate it. Someone could have just picked up the telephone and called me and said, hey, why are you talking like this? Why is your opinion? But you know what, I think my opinion is valid. I mean, I got kids that played in the NHL. I have firsthand information. And I think that the government needed to understand what was going on. And and I still to this day don't think. I mean, you guys just had Blackie on with Humble, and you guys were
Howard.
talking about golf. I mean, the golf courses in Toronto are open up as of today. Like, I mean, like, you got to be kidding me, right? Like, like the racetrack is the safest place with no owners when we can't open up and you can go play around the golf.
Right. Well, you guys have a great track record, and I think that should be something to consider. And there have been no issues at all at the racetrack. So to me, I'm all about that. So I'm on side there. Listen, Mike, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us, and hopefully you guys can get back racing, as soon as possible, and hopefully the bigger picture is something that people look at here.
Okay, thanks very much,
Thanks,
Joe. I
Mike.
appreciate the time. Okay, good luck. All right, thank you.
No problem. All right, thanks, man. Okay. Okay, well, the Maple Leafs have clearly gotten back on the rails. They finally made Connor Hellebuck look like he was really partially human. Jack Campbell outplayed the Jets keeper in that big first place battle in Winnipeg. Now, if the Leafs still have plans to make a deal, they better do it fast because of COVID protocol. And I'm thinking right now most Leaf fans are pretty comfortable with the fact that Jack Campbell will be their starting number one goaltender in the next little while. A healthy Freddie Anderson, of course, would give the Leafs a very nice 1-2 punch. And hey, the Buffalo Sabres won a hockey game, folks. How about that? Should we hold a parade? Okay, this is a light portion of the schedule for the Raptors. Lots of dates coming up with the sub 500 teams as they try to claw their way back into the playoff picture. But they'll have to shake off a 1-13 March, worst in franchise history. Yikes. They could use a guy who can get up on the glass, kind of like a Jamario Moon. Remember him? Defensive specialist, a former contestant in the NBA Slam Dunk Contest. Well, Jamario's nephew is looking to make a name for himself in the Canadian Elite Basketball League. With that story, here's Keegan Levine with the Canadian Hoop and Scoop.
Hi, I'm Keegan Levine. Welcome to another episode of Canadian Hoop and Scoop. And the Canadian Elite Basketball League is a league that's gaining a lot of traction in this country. It's growing, it's gaining popularity. And in 2021, they were planning on expanding to Montreal, but unfortunately, due to COVID-19, they weren't able to. And that team, the Montreal team, will be brought in the 2022 season. And a couple additions over this past offseason. Joel Anthony, now a player consultant with the Hamilton Honey Badgers, and he's also a former Miami Heat big man. And Robert Zachary, a former Laker, is now the assistant general manager of Fraser Valley Bandits. And joining me now is two-time CEBL MVP and the reigning champion in the 2020 summer season series, Xavier Moon. Hey, man, how's it going?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Not too bad. It's good to see you again.
Man, it's been a while.
Just want to start it off. Xavier, what are your expectations heading into the season? Obviously, you guys won last year, so it's going to be high expectations. Just want to hear what you think the season's going to look like for you guys.
Pretty much the same, man. We got our core guys back. And that's what we try to do every year, make sure we get our core guys back. We're looking forward to a great summer once again. Not sure what to expect, man. The league has been real crazy with some of the signings that's been going on. So, I mean, I don't know what to expect, man, but I'm expecting that it's going to be a great summer.
Yeah, and you mentioned bringing back the core, Jordan Baker, Attica, Peter McNeely, another one. How important is it to you guys to have that strong core back for yet another year?
It's very important. I think that's the biggest part of going into recruiting and building the team. Like I said, a lot of people are picking up new guys, and guys are switching teams, man. But it's all about that chemistry, that cohesiveness, and that's something that we have, something that we've had from the first year until now. So I think that what gives us that edge that we have.
What team out of all these, out of the other six, worries you the most when it comes down to the playoff stretch?
The Edmonton Stingers. I feel like we're the only people that can beat us. Like I said, man, it started about us having that chemistry off the court and on the court, and we've done that these last couple of years. So in my mind, I feel like we're the only team that can really beat us. Obviously, all these other teams are talented, but it takes a lot more to talent. So I would say us, we're the only team that can really beat us.
Thanks for coming on again, Xavier. It's great to see you again and talk to you. And I'm sure I'll be talking to you soon. And I really appreciate your time, man.
No problem, man. I appreciate you.
And that was Xavier Moon, folks. Arguably the best player in the CEBL over the past two seasons. In 2019, he was third in scoring and third in assists. And in 2020, during the summer series, he was second in scoring and first in assists. And I think the Edmonton Stingers are the odds-on favorites to win the championship in the upcoming 2021 season. And join me next week, folks, as we'll be discussing Luguentz Dort, the Oklahoma City guard and Montreal native who's turned himself into quite the NBA basketball player. Joining me will be Brandon Ennis, who coached Luguentz at Orangeville Prep during his senior high school basketball season. For Canadian Hoop and Scoop, I'm Keegan Levine.
All right, thanks, Keegan. Major League Baseball season has arrived. Blue Jays made a big offseason splash acquiring George Springer and Marcus Semien. They didn't address their biggest issue, however, which is starting pitching. But if all the arms come through in a big way, they might challenge for a playoff spot. Springer and pitcher Robbie Ray both start the season on injured reserve. Nate Pearson is still a ways away. They lost their closer to Tommy John surgery, but I still think the Jays are going to be in the wild card hunt. The Yankees, however, are going to win the division, and the Dodgers are going to win the World Series. Bianca Andreescu is back. The 20-year-old from Mississauga has slugged her way into the semifinals of the Miami Open. Knocked off Sarah Ceribes of Spain. Gritty effort, 6-4, 3-6, 6-3. It's Bianca's third tournament since she came back from a knee injury, which set her back for 16 months. All right, The contest winner this week, Joe Tilley Sports Contest winner of a Mitch Marner t-shirt is Brian Gwindon. Congratulations, Brian. You have won yourself a Mitch Marner t-shirt. And good to see you. All right. Once again, just subscribe to Joe Tilley Sports on YouTube, and you can qualify to win. It's free. It's easy. Do it. All right. We close with a look at the folks who make this show possible. These are friends, trusted business associates, and all-around great folks. I highly recommend them all. A reminder, the show is also available on Spanglish Network and Zingo TV and the Fired Up Network. Thanks once again to Rod Black and Humble Howard and Mike Tanev for being on the show today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week when Lace legend Daryl Sittler joins the program along with Tony Carvalho. We'll see you then.
Get Aldo at RE/MAX Crossroads. Do you want to buy or sell a home? Could 31 years of real estate experience help you? Why not speak to an amazing team that loves to overpromise and overdeliver? Call 416-GET-ALDO or visit www.getaldo.com to find out what next level real estate looks like. RS Demolition and Excavation has extensive experience with complete teardowns and interior strip-outs. Looking to build a custom home? RS Excavating Services has the experience you need to build in established neighborhoods. For the highest level of quality and cost-efficient results, we provide innovative demolition solutions completed on time and on budget while ensuring our number one priority, safety. Call 647-852-3006 for an estimate or visit rsdemolition.ca. Brian Gribben Insurance Planning, helping you solidify your financial future.
At BGIP, what we do that's unique in the marketplace is we show people how to spend and enjoy their money in their early years of retirement without the fear of running out. Also, we're able to do this without you having to change financial advisors. Please look us up at bgip.ca today. Let's book a 30-minute phone call to see how we can bring value to you and your family in your planning.
Call Brian today for all your retirement needs. We did. 905-686-5678. Goldline Resources, discovering high-grade gold in Sweden. Goldline Resources owns a prospective portfolio of 4 high-grade gold exploration projects located on the Goldline mineral belt of north-central Sweden, and 1 gold exploration project in the Skellefteå belt of north-central Sweden. For more information on how you can invest in this new initiative, go to goldlineresources.com or call 1-800-858-9710. Goldline Resources can also be found on the TSX Ventures Exchange as GLDL. Looking for an advantage in choosing your investment options? Belmont Venture Capital will provide you with the best up-to-date opportunities in the mid-cap and junior sector. The company was formed 12 and a half years ago and is spearheaded by 2 seasoned veterans of the financial markets with over 80 years combined experience. Go to BelmontVentureCapital.com today for the latest hot picks on the market. And don't forget to sign up for the newsletter. BelmontVentureCapital.com.